Danny Cooper was tired of his life. Every morning he woke up at 7 o'clock, ate the same breakfast, and drove to the same office building. He worked as a data analyst for a shipping company in Portland. His job was simple but boring. He looked at computer screens all day, checking numbers and fixing mistakes in delivery schedules. Danny was 28 years old. When he was younger, he dreamed of doing something important with his life. He wanted adventure and excitement. Instead, he got a small apartment, a boring job, and the same routine every single day. He felt like he was sleeping through his own life. On Tuesday evening, Danny came home from work feeling especially tired. He heated up leftover pasta in the microwave and sat on his old couch. He turned on the television to watch his favorite science fiction show. The show was about space explorers who discovered alien worlds and had exciting adventures. Danny wished his life could be even a little bit like that. He was watching the show when he heard a strange sound outside. It was a low humming noise like a machine running. Danny walked to his window and pulled back the curtain. What he saw made him freeze in place. A small spacecraft was floating in the air above the alley behind his apartment building. The craft was about the size of a large van. It had blue and silver lights that blinked in patterns along its surface. The lights were beautiful but also strange and otherworldly. Danny rubbed his eyes. He thought maybe he was dreaming or seeing things. But when he looked again, the spacecraft was still there. Then something happened that made his heart beat faster. The craft suddenly shook and tilted to one side. It looked like it was having trouble staying in the air. A moment later, it crashed into a large dumpster in the alley with a loud bang. Danny stood at his window, not sure what to do. Part of him wanted to call the police. Part of him wanted to hide in his apartment and pretend he saw nothing. But there was another part of him, the part that was tired of his boring life, that wanted to go outside and see what was happening. He made a decision. Danny grabbed his jacket and ran out of his apartment. He took the fire escape stairs down to the alley. His hands were shaking as he climbed down the metal steps. When he reached the ground, he walked slowly toward the crashed spacecraft. The door of the craft was already open. Inside, Danny could see someone sitting in a pilot seat. Emergency lights were flashing red and blue inside the craft. He stepped closer and looked inside. The person inside was a woman, but she was not human. Her skin had a soft glow to it, shifting between light blue and silver colors. Her eyes were large and shaped like almonds. They were a deep purple color that seemed to hold entire galaxies inside them. She wore armor that looked damaged and burned. Purple blood was coming from a wound on her shoulder. The woman looked up at Danny. Her face showed both fear and determination. When she spoke, her voice had a musical quality to it. The words came from a small device attached to her collar. The device translated her language into English, though the words had a strange accent. "My name is Princess Lyra of the Kellian Empire. I need help right now. There are people hunting me. They will be here very soon. Please, I do not want to hurt you. I need your help." Danny stared at her. His mind was having trouble understanding what was happening. An alien princess had just crashed behind his apartment building and was asking him for help. It seemed impossible. It seemed like something from one of his science fiction shows, not something that could happen in real life. He heard more sounds in the sky, more engine noises getting closer. Danny looked up and saw 3 black spacecraft descending from the clouds. They were sleek and dangerous looking. Their searchlights cut through the darkness looking for something. Danny did not think about what he was doing. He just acted. He reached out his hand to the injured princess. "Come with me. I know where we can hide." Princess Lyra looked at his hand for a moment. Then she took it. Her grip was strong despite her injury. Danny helped her climb out of the damaged craft. She was about his height but moved with a grace that seemed almost like dancing, even though she was hurt. They moved quickly toward the apartment building. Behind them, the 3 black ships were landing in the alley. Danny could see figures jumping out of the ships. They wore dark armor and carried weapons. They looked like professional soldiers or assassins. Danny pulled Princess Lyra through a side door into the building. They were in a hallway on the ground floor. He looked around quickly, trying to think of a hiding place. There was a maintenance closet nearby. It was small and dark, but it would have to work. He opened the closet door and guided the princess inside. They squeezed into the small space among brooms, mops, and cleaning supplies. Danny pulled the door almost closed, leaving just a tiny crack so he could see out. Through the crack, Danny watched as 3 figures in black armor entered the building. They moved like predators hunting prey. They had strange devices in their hands that beeped and glowed. Danny guessed the devices were scanners looking for the princess. Princess Lyra was leaning against the wall of the closet. Her breathing was heavy and painful. Danny could see she was getting weaker. He grabbed some clean rags from a shelf and pressed them gently against her wounded shoulder. She made a quiet sound of pain but nodded to show she understood he was trying to help. Danny whispered very quietly, "Who are those people?" "Why are they hunting you?" The princess looked at him with her purple eyes. Even in the dark closet, those eyes seemed to glow softly. She whispered back, "They are assassins. They work for my uncle, Duke Varen. He killed my father and mother 3 years ago and took control of our empire. I escaped with proof of what he did. If I can get that proof to my allies, they can fight back against him. But if I die, the proof dies with me. My uncle will rule forever and many people will suffer." Danny felt the weight of her words. This was not a game or a movie. This was real. An empire hung in the balance. Countless lives depended on this injured woman surviving and delivering her evidence. And somehow, Danny was now part of this story. He heard footsteps walking past their hiding spot. One of the assassins was very close to the closet door. Danny held his breath. Princess Lyra touched a device on her wrist. A faint shimmer surrounded them both. Danny felt a tingling sensation on his skin. He guessed she had activated some kind of cloaking field to hide them from the scanners. The footsteps moved away. The assassin had not found them. But Danny knew they were not safe yet. The hunters would search the entire building. They had time, but not very much time. Danny whispered again, "We need to get you somewhere safe. Somewhere you can contact your friends. Can you do that?" Princess Lyra shook her head slightly. "My communication system was destroyed in the crash. I cannot send a message from here. I need to reach a place called Nexus Station. It is a diplomatic outpost on your moon. There are representatives from loyal worlds there. If I can reach them, I can send the evidence and call for help." Danny blinked in surprise. "The moon? There is a base on the moon?" "Yes, your people do not know about it yet. You're not part of the Galactic Council. But the base is there on the far side where your satellites cannot see it." Danny tried to think. Getting to the moon seemed impossible. But then again, an hour ago, meeting an alien princess seemed impossible too. Maybe impossible things could happen. He looked at Princess Lyra. Her face was pale and she was clearly in pain. But her eyes still held determination. She had not given up. She was still fighting. Danny felt something change inside himself. For years, he had felt like his life had no meaning or purpose. Now suddenly he had a chance to help someone who really needed it. He had a chance to be part of something important. "Okay," Danny said quietly. "I will help you get to the moon. I do not know how yet, but we will figure it out. First, we need to stay alive. Then we need to find a way off this planet." Princess Lyra smiled weakly. "Why are you helping me?" "You do not know me." This is very dangerous, Danny thought about his answer. "Because someone needs help and I can give it. Because my life has been empty and boring for too long. Because maybe this is what I was meant to do." He said simply, "Because it is the right thing to do." They stayed hidden in the closet for 2 more hours while the assassins searched the building. Finally, the footsteps and voices faded away. The hunters were leaving. Danny waited another 30 minutes to be sure, then slowly opened the closet door. The hallway was empty and quiet. It was time to move. Danny helped Princess Lyra up the stairs to his apartment. She was heavy, leaning most of her weight on him. Each step was difficult for her. Her injury was worse than Danny had first thought. When they finally reached his apartment door, he was breathing hard from the effort. Inside his small apartment, Danny helped the princess sit on his couch. He went to his bathroom and found his first aid kit. He knew the human medical supplies would probably not work well on an alien, but he had to try something. He brought the kit back along with some clean towels and a bowl of warm water. Princess Lyra watched him work. Danny cleaned around her wound as gently as he could. The purple blood had stopped flowing as much, but the wound still looked bad. The princess pulled a small device from a pocket in her armor. It looked like a pen with a blue light on one end. "This is a medical repair tool. It will help heal the tissue. But I am very weak. The device needs my energy to work and I do not have much left." She activated the device and held it over her wound. The blue light grew brighter. Danny watched in amazement as the wound began to slowly close. It was like watching a video of healing sped up. The process took about 10 minutes. When it was done, Princess Lyra looked exhausted, but the bleeding had stopped completely. Danny sat in a chair across from her. His mind was full of questions. Can you contact your people? Is there a way to call for help? Princess Lyra shook her head. As I said before, my communication equipment was destroyed, and I cannot risk sending a general message into space. My uncle has spies and informants everywhere. He would intercept any message I send. The only safe way is to go to Nexus Station in person. Danny thought about this problem. How do we get you there? Your ship is destroyed. I do not have a spaceship. I do not even know anyone who works for NASA. The princess reached into another compartment in her armor. She pulled out a small crystal, about the size of a USB drive but glowing with an inner light. This contains all the evidence against my uncle. Financial records, communication logs, video recordings of his meetings with the warlords. Everything needed to prove his guilt, she continued. There is a human who works at your space agency. Her name is Dr. Helen Price. The Galactic Council has been watching her for 2 years. They believe she would be a good person for first contact with your species. She has access to launch facilities and spacecraft. If we can reach her and convince her to help us, she could get us to the moon. Danny got his laptop computer and searched for Dr. Helen Price. He found several articles about her. She was a scientist who worked on rocket engines and propulsion systems. She was in her 40s and worked at a NASA facility about 300 miles away. Many articles mentioned that she wanted NASA to build more bases on the moon. Danny looked at a map on his computer. 300 miles. That was about a 5-hour drive, maybe less if they drove fast. But they would need a car. His car was parked 2 blocks away. We need to get to my car, Danny said. Then we drive to the NASA facility. We find Dr. Price and somehow convince her that aliens are real and she needs to help us. All while those assassins are hunting for you. Princess Lyra smiled slightly. When you say it like that, it sounds very difficult. It is difficult, Danny agreed. But what choice do we have? Danny found some of his old clothes for the princess to wear. He gave her a large hoodie and sweatpants. They were too big for her, but they would hide her armor. He also gave her a baseball cap to wear low over her face. The cap would hide her unusual eyes and the glow of her skin. If people did not look too closely, she might pass as human. At least in the dark. They left the apartment building using the fire escape again. Danny wanted to avoid the main entrance where there might be security cameras. They moved through the shadows, staying away from streetlights. The night air was cold and Danny could see his breath. His car was parked in a lot 2 blocks away. They walked slowly, with Princess Lyra leaning on Danny for support. She was still weak from her injury. Every few steps, Danny looked around nervously. He expected to see the assassins at any moment. They were almost at the parking lot when Danny heard a sound behind them. He turned quickly. One of the assassins was standing on a rooftop, about 50 feet away. The hunter had a long weapon that looked like a rifle, but it glowed with blue energy. The assassin was aiming right at them. "Run!" Danny shouted. He grabbed Princess Lyra's hand and they ran toward the parking lot. Behind them, a blast of energy hit the ground where they had been standing. The concrete exploded, sending chips of rock flying. Another blast hit a wall next to them. They reached Danny's car. He fumbled with his keys, his hands shaking. He finally got the door open and pushed the princess into the passenger seat. He ran around to the driver's side and jumped in. He put the key in the ignition and turned it. The engine made a grinding sound but did not start. Danny's heart was pounding. He tried again. The engine coughed and died. He looked in the mirror and saw the assassin jumping down from the rooftop. The hunter landed on the ground like it was nothing and started running toward them. Come on, Danny muttered. He turned the key a 3rd time. The engine roared to life. Danny put the car in gear and stepped hard on the gas pedal. The tires screamed and the car shot forward. In the mirror, Danny saw another energy blast hit the ground behind them. The assassin was chasing them on foot, running incredibly fast. But the car was faster. Danny took a corner at high speed, almost losing control. The tires squealed but held the road. He drove through the city streets, going well over the speed limit. He ran 2 red lights and cut off several other cars. People honked their horns at him, but Danny did not care. He had to get away from the hunter. Princess Lyra was holding onto the door handle, her face tense. They can track us. My ship had a homing device. They will follow the signal. Then we need to ditch this car soon, Danny said. He knew the city well. There was an old industrial area near the waterfront. It had many abandoned buildings and warehouses. They could hide there and find another way to travel. Danny drove toward the industrial district. He went through narrow streets and alleys. Finally, he found an underground parking garage. He drove down into the garage and parked in the darkest corner, far from the entrance. He turned off the engine and the lights. They sat in silence for a moment, both breathing hard. Then Danny helped the princess out of the car. They moved quickly through the parking garage and found an exit that led into the industrial area. The warehouses were dark and empty. Some of them had broken windows. Others were covered in graffiti. Danny had explored this area a few times when he was in college. He knew there were good hiding places here. "We need another vehicle," Princess Lyra said, "and we need food and water." "Can you get these things?" Danny thought about it. "I have a friend who owns a car rental business. His name is Greg. We went to college together. If I can call him, he might help us. But I need to find a phone. I left mine at the apartment because I was worried they could track it." They walked through the warehouse district looking for a payphone. Danny had not seen a payphone in years, but he hoped there might be one in this old area. As they walked, he heard a sound that made his blood run cold. It was the humming of spacecraft engines. Danny looked up and saw lights in the sky. The assassins had found them again. Their ships were sweeping the area with searchlights, looking for any sign of the princess. "This way," Danny whispered. He pulled Princess Lyra into an abandoned warehouse. Inside, it was dark and smelled of rust and old oil. They could hear water dripping somewhere. Danny led her deeper into the building, away from the windows. They found a small room that might have been an office once. There was an old desk and some broken chairs. Danny and the princess hid behind the desk. Through a dirty window, they could see the searchlights moving across the buildings. Princess Lyra activated her cloaking device again. The shimmer surrounded them, but Danny noticed the device was flickering. "It is running out of power," the princess said quietly. "It will not last much longer." Danny knew they needed a plan. They could not keep running forever. The assassins were too good at tracking them. They needed help, and they needed it soon. He thought about his friend Greg. The rental business was on the east side of the city, about 6 blocks from where they were now. If they could get there without being seen, Greg might be able to help them. It was risky, but Danny could not think of any better options. The searchlights moved away from their building. Danny watched and waited. After several minutes, the lights seemed to be focusing on an area several blocks to the north. The assassins were searching in the wrong place. "This is our chance," Danny whispered. "We need to move now while they are looking somewhere else." Princess Lyra nodded. She looked tired, but her eyes still had that determined look. They left their hiding place and moved through the warehouse. Outside, they stayed in the shadows, moving from building to building. The night was getting colder, and Danny could see the first hints of dawn in the eastern sky. They had to reach Greg before the sun came up. In daylight, it would be much harder to hide, and the assassins would have an easier time finding them. Danny picked up the pace, helping Princess Lyra move faster. Behind them, the searchlights continued to sweep the industrial district. The hunters were relentless, and they were not giving up. By the time Danny and Princess Lyra reached Greg's rental business, the sky was starting to get light. The sun would be up soon. Danny was exhausted. They had spent the last few hours moving through the city, hiding from the assassins, always staying in the shadows. The rental lot was surrounded by a chain-link fence. There were about 20 vehicles parked inside, mostly vans and trucks. A small office building sat at the front of the lot. Danny could see a light on inside the office. Greg was an early riser, which was lucky for them. Danny found a payphone on the street corner. He used some coins to call Greg's office number. The phone rang 3 times before Greg answered. "Greg, it is Danny. I need your help. I need to borrow a vehicle right now. It is an emergency." "Danny?" Greg sounded confused. "Man, it is 6 in the morning. What kind of emergency?" "I cannot explain on the phone. Just please trust me. I need a van and I need it now. I will bring it back, I promise." There was a pause on the other end of the line. Greg and Danny had been friends since college. Danny had helped Greg out many times over the years. He hoped that friendship would be enough now. "All right," Greg said finally. "Come to the lot. I will help you out." Danny and Princess Lyra walked to the rental lot. Greg was waiting at the gate. He was a big man with a beard and kind eyes. When he saw Princess Lyra, even with the hoodie and cap hiding most of her features, his eyes went wide. Greg pulled Danny aside and whispered, "Dude, is that an actual alien?" Danny nodded. "Yes, and there are people trying to kill us. I know this sounds crazy, but I need your help. I need a vehicle that cannot be tracked, and I need you to not tell anyone you saw us." Greg stared at him for a long moment. Then he shrugged. "You know what? My life has been pretty boring lately. An alien princess sounds like an improvement. Take the blue van in the back. It has a full tank of gas. The GPS system is broken, so nobody can track it. There is some camping gear in the back, too." Danny put his hand on his friend's shoulder. "Thank you. I owe you big time. Just bring the van back in one piece, and maybe introduce me to your alien friend later if we all survive." They loaded into the blue van. It was old but in good condition. Danny got behind the wheel and started the engine. Princess Lyra climbed into the back where there was more room. She looked exhausted. The medical device had healed her wound, but she was still very weak. Danny drove out of the city, heading south toward the NASA facility. The roads were mostly empty this early in the morning. He kept checking the mirrors, looking for any sign of the assassins. So far, they seemed to have lost their pursuers. As they drove, Danny thought about everything that had happened. Just yesterday morning, he had been sitting in his office cubicle, bored and unhappy. Now he was driving a van with an alien princess in the back, running from assassins trying to save an empire. His life had changed completely in less than 24 hours. "Tell me about your world," Danny said. He needed to talk to keep his mind active. "What was it like before your uncle took over?" Princess Lyra moved to the front passenger seat. Her voice was soft as she spoke. "Kalia is beautiful. We have cities made of crystal that shine in the sunlight. We have 3 moons, and at night the sky is filled with colors. Our rivers glow with natural light from tiny organisms that live in the water," she continued. "My father was a good ruler. He believed in peace and cooperation. He made alliances with many other worlds. He wanted all people in the empire to have good lives. He built schools and hospitals. He supported artists and scientists. Under his rule, our people were happy and prosperous." Her voice became sad. "My uncle did not agree with my father's methods. He thought my father was weak. He believed that empires should rule through strength and fear. He made secret deals with warlords and criminals. Then 3 years ago he struck. He attacked during a festival when everyone was celebrating. The royal guard fought bravely, but they were outnumbered. My parents were killed. My mentor, General Caney, helped me escape. He gave his life so I could get away with the evidence." Danny felt angry hearing her story. "Your uncle sounds like a terrible person. We will get the evidence to your allies. Your father and everyone who died will not have died for nothing." Princess Lyra looked at Danny with her purple eyes. "Why are you helping me? You could have walked away. You could have called your authorities and let them handle this. Why did you choose to help?" Danny thought about her question. He kept his eyes on the road as he answered. "For a long time, I have felt like my life does not matter. I go to work, I come home, I watch television, I sleep. Every day is the same. I've been just existing, not really living. When you crashed behind my building, it was like the universe was giving me a chance to do something important, a chance to help someone who really needs it. A chance to matter, that does not sound stupid," Princess Lyra said softly. "It sounds very human. The Galactic Council has been studying your species for many years. Humans are fascinating. You have such short lives compared to most species, but you live so intensely. You are always reaching for more, always trying to improve. That is why the Council believes humanity will be an important part of the galactic community one day." Danny was about to ask more about the Council when his phone rang. He had turned it back on briefly to check for important messages. The caller ID showed an unknown number. Danny hesitated, then answered, "Hello?" A woman's voice spoke. She sounded professional and calm. "Mr. Cooper, my name is Dr. Helen Price. I believe you are traveling with someone who needs my help. I have been monitoring unusual energy signatures in my area. The signatures match alien technology. If I am correct about what is happening, you are in serious danger. I can help you, but you need to trust me." Danny looked at Princess Lyra. The princess nodded. Dr. Price had found them first. That could be good or bad. Danny decided to trust his instincts. "We are about 2 hours away from your facility. Can you meet us somewhere safe?" "There is an old observatory 30 miles north of the facility. It has been closed for years. Nobody goes there anymore. Meet me there in 90 minutes. Come alone." And Mr. Cooper, please hurry. The people hunting your friend have resources and technology you cannot imagine. They will not stop until they find her. The phone went dead. Danny put it down and looked at Princess Lyra. What do you think? Can we trust her? The princess thought for a moment. The council would not recommend someone who could not be trusted. And we do not have many other options. We must take the risk. Danny pressed harder on the gas pedal. The van went faster. They had 90 minutes to reach the observatory. He hoped Dr. Price really could help them. He hoped this was not a trap. But most of all, he hoped they could stay alive long enough to deliver the evidence and bring justice to Princess Lyra's people. The highway stretched out before them. The sun was fully up now and the day was bright and clear. In the back of his mind, Danny knew the assassins were still looking for them. The hunters had advanced technology and would not give up easily. This meeting at the observatory could be their best chance to escape, or it could be where their journey ended. As they drove, Princess Lyra pulled out the data crystal and looked at it. This small thing holds the fate of billions of people, all the proof needed to show what my uncle did. Financial records showing how he paid the warlords, communications between him and the assassins, video footage of him planning the attack. Everything is here. She held the crystal carefully like it was the most precious thing in the universe. To her, Danny realized it was. It was the key to saving her people and honoring her parents' memory. He understood now why she had risked everything to protect it. The miles passed quickly. Danny drove through small towns and past farms. The landscape was peaceful and quiet, so different from the danger they were facing. It was strange to think that most people going about their normal day had no idea that aliens existed, or that right now, an alien princess was fighting for her life and her empire. They reached the area near the observatory with 20 minutes to spare. The observatory sat on top of a hill, surrounded by forest. The white dome was old and weathered, covered in moss and vines. It looked abandoned, which was exactly what Dr. Price had said. Danny drove up the winding road to the observatory. His heart was beating fast. He did not know what to expect. Would Dr. Price really be able to help them? Or was this meeting going to end badly? When they reached the top of the hill, Danny saw a silver car already parked near the entrance. A woman stood beside the car. She was in her 40s with short gray hair and sharp, intelligent eyes. She wore jeans and a jacket with a NASA logo on it. Danny parked the van and helped Princess Lyra out. The princess walked toward Dr. Price. Despite her exhaustion and her human disguise, Princess Lyra moved with dignity and grace. She was still royalty, even here on a strange planet far from home. Dr. Price looked at the princess and then did something unexpected. She bowed formally, the way someone might bow to royalty in old movies. "Your Highness," Dr. Price said, "the Galactic Council has been trying to find you for 3 days. Your distress signal was damaged, making it very hard to track your location." "You know about the Council," Princess Lyra said. There was relief in her voice. "Then you can help us reach Nexus Station." Dr. Price nodded. "I can. I have been working with the Council for 10 years preparing." The lead assassin removed his helmet. His face looked almost human, but not quite. His features were sharp and angular. His eyes glowed with an amber color that looked cold and dangerous. He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Princess Lyra," the assassin said, "you have been very clever. You have led us on quite a chase. But it ends here. Give me the data crystal and I will make your death quick and painless." Princess Lyra stepped forward. She placed herself between the assassin and Danny. "I will never give you anything. The truth about my uncle will be revealed. He will face justice for what he has done." The assassin's smile disappeared. "Then you will die here, and these humans who helped you will die as well." Everything happened very fast. Dr. Price dove behind her car. She came up holding a weapon that looked like a small gun but glowed with blue energy. She fired at one of the assassins. The energy blast hit the hunter in the shoulder, spinning him around. Danny saw a tire iron lying near the van. He grabbed it and swung at another assassin who was turning toward them. The metal bar hit the hunter hard. The impact jarred Danny's arms, but the assassin stumbled backward. Princess Lyra moved like a trained fighter. Despite her injuries and exhaustion, she engaged the lead assassin in combat. Her movements were graceful and precise, like a deadly dance. She blocked his attacks and struck back with skill. But Danny could see she was weakening. And there were 3 assassins against the 3 of them. The two other hunters moved to surround Princess Lyra. She was fighting well, but she could not hold off 3 trained killers. Danny realized they could not win this fight with strength alone. They needed to escape. Dr. Price seemed to understand this too. She aimed her weapon at the ground between the assassins and fired. There was a bright flash of light and a cloud of thick smoke. The smoke spread quickly, covering the area. "Run!" Dr. Price shouted. Danny grabbed Princess Lyra's hand and ran toward the observatory building. Dr. Price was right behind them, firing her weapon back toward the assassins to keep them back. Energy blasts cut through the smoke, but the doctor's covering fire gave them precious seconds. The observatory door was locked. Dr. Price pulled out a small electronic device and held it against the lock. The device beeped and the lock clicked open. They tumbled inside and slammed the door shut. Dr. Price did something to the lock to seal it. The inside of the observatory was dark and dusty. Old telescopes and equipment filled the space. Everything was covered in cobwebs and dirt. The building clearly had not been used in many years. "This way," Dr. Price said. She led them across the main floor to a corner where an old carpet lay on the ground. She pulled the carpet aside, revealing a metal panel in the floor. "Emergency escape tunnel. It leads to a service road half a mile away. I have a vehicle waiting there." She pulled the panel open. Below was a ladder descending into darkness. Danny helped Princess Lyra onto the ladder first, then followed her down. Dr. Price came last, pulling the panel closed behind them. Above them, they heard a loud explosion. The assassins had blown the door open. They were in the observatory now, searching for their prey. The tunnel was narrow and damp. Water dripped from the ceiling. The only light came from Dr. Price's flashlight. They moved as quickly as they could, but the tunnel was difficult to navigate. Danny held on to Princess Lyra, helping her over rough spots in the floor. Behind them, Danny could hear sounds of pursuit. The assassins had found the tunnel entrance. They were coming after them. The hunters were moving fast, their footsteps echoing in the confined space. Danny's lungs burned from the exertion. His legs ached, but he pushed himself forward, driven by fear and determination. They had come too far to give up now. After what felt like forever, they saw light ahead, the end of the tunnel. They climbed up another ladder and emerged into daylight. They were on a dirt road in the forest. A tough-looking vehicle built for rough terrain was parked nearby. "Get in," Dr. Price ordered. She jumped into the driver's seat. Danny and Princess Lyra climbed into the back. The engine roared to life just as the first assassin emerged from the tunnel. Dr. Price stepped on the gas. The vehicle shot forward, its tires throwing up dirt and rocks. Energy blasts from the assassins' weapons hit the ground around them. One blast hit a tree, and the tree exploded into splinters. Dr. Price drove expertly. She navigated the rough terrain at high speed, dodging trees and jumping over small ditches. They crashed through bushes and forded a shallow stream. Water sprayed up on all sides of the vehicle. Behind them, Danny could see the assassins running after them, but the vehicle was faster. They pulled ahead, putting distance between themselves and the hunters. Finally, they reached a paved road. Dr. Price turned onto the road and accelerated. "The NASA facility is 10 minutes away," Dr. Price called back to them. "But the assassins know we will go there. They will be waiting for us. I have a different plan. There is a private airfield 5 miles west of here. A colleague has a plane ready. We can fly to a secondary launch site in Nevada. It is less secure than the main facility, but it has a working spacecraft." Princess Lyra gripped the data crystal tightly in her hand. "Whatever we do, we must do it quickly. Time is running out. My uncle's forces are gathering. If we do not act soon, it may be too late." Danny looked back through the rear window. In the distance, he could see the black spacecraft of the assassins. The hunters had returned to their ships and were now chasing them through the air. The alien craft were much faster than the ground vehicle. "They are gaining on us," Danny said. "I know," Dr. Price replied, "but we are almost there. Just hold on." The vehicle raced down the road. Dr. Price drove faster than Danny thought was possible. She took corners at dangerous speeds, the vehicle tilting on 2 wheels before slamming back down. Energy blasts from the pursuing ships hit the road behind them, leaving smoking craters in the pavement. Up ahead, Danny saw the airfield. It was small and private, with just one runway and a few buildings. A business jet sat on the runway, its engines already running. A man in a flight suit stood near the plane, waving at them frantically. Dr. Price drove straight onto the airfield, ignoring the access road. She raced across the grass and skidded to a stop next to the jet. "Everyone out now." They scrambled out of the vehicle and ran to the jet. The pilot helped them climb aboard. Danny noticed that the pilot did not seem surprised to see Princess Lyra. He had clearly been briefed about what was happening. "Strap in," the pilot said. "This is going to be rough. My name is Captain Roy Bennett, by the way. We can do proper introductions later if we survive." The jet started moving before they were fully seated. Danny struggled to fasten his seatbelt as the plane accelerated. Through the window, he saw the assassin ships descending toward the airfield. Energy weapons lit up the sky, blasts hitting the runway behind them. One of the alien craft moved directly into their path, trying to block the runway. Captain Bennett did not slow down. He pulled back on the controls and the jet lifted into the air with only meters to spare. The belly of the plane barely cleared the alien ship. They climbed steeply into the sky. The jet's engines screamed with effort. Danny was pressed back into his seat by the force of the climb. He looked out the window and saw the ground falling away rapidly. The assassin's ships were still on the ground, unable to follow them into the air. For the first time in what felt like days, Danny allowed himself to breathe. They had escaped again. They were in the air, flying toward the Nevada facility and a spacecraft that could take them to the moon. Dr. Price moved to the back of the plane. She opened a locked compartment and pulled out equipment and supplies. "We have about 2 hours of flight time. The Nevada facility is in the desert, far from major cities. It was built as a backup launch site. The spacecraft there is experimental. It has only been flown twice, but it will get us to the moon." Princess Lyra examined the data crystal one more time, making sure it had not been damaged in all the action. "Once we reach Nexus Station, I can transmit this evidence to the Council fleet. They have been waiting for proof before taking action against my uncle. This will give them what they need. This will start the counter-revolution." Danny sat back in his seat and closed his eyes for a moment. His body ached. He was exhausted, but they were still alive and they were still moving forward. Against all odds, they had a real chance of success. He thought about his old life, sitting in his cubicle staring at spreadsheets. That life seemed like it belonged to a different person now. In just a day and a half, he had become someone new. Someone who took risks and fought for what was right. Someone who mattered. The jet flew on through the clear blue sky, carrying them toward their destination. Behind them, the assassins were regrouping, planning their next move. But for now, Danny and his companions had a head start. And that might be just enough. The jet landed at the Nevada facility 2 hours later. The landing was smooth despite the urgent nature of their journey. As the plane taxied to a stop, Danny looked out the window at the desert landscape. The facility looked ordinary from the outside, just another government building in the middle of nowhere. But he knew that inside amazing things were happening. Dr. Price led them off the plane and through security. The guards seemed to be expecting them. They nodded and let the group pass without asking questions. Danny realized that Dr. Price must have called ahead and arranged everything. They took an elevator down 3 levels underground. When the doors opened, Danny's jaw dropped. The underground hangar was enormous. It was filled with equipment and technology he had never seen before. Some of it looked human-made, but other pieces were clearly alien in origin. In the center of the hangar sat a spacecraft. It was smaller than Danny had expected, designed for a crew of only 4 people. The exterior was a mix of human and alien technology. Parts of it were sleek and metallic, while other sections had strange patterns that seemed to glow faintly. Somehow the combination looked natural, like it was always meant to be this way. "This is beautiful," Princess Lyra said softly. "You have combined technologies from multiple worlds. This shows great skill and cooperation." Dr. Price smiled. "We have been working on it for 3 years. It represents the best of human engineering, combined with gifts from our council contacts. It has only made 2 test flights, both successful. Today will be its first real mission." Captain Bennett and Dr. Price began their pre-flight checks. They moved around the spacecraft, checking systems and running diagnostics. Princess Lyra rested in one of the crew seats inside the craft, saving her energy for what was to come. Danny stood at the edge of the hangar, looking at the spacecraft. He was about to leave Earth. He was about to travel to the moon and visit an alien space station Just a few days ago, his biggest decision was what to have for dinner. Now he was part of something that would change history. Princess Lyra came to stand beside him. Her violet eyes reflected the lights of the hangar. "Are you certain you want to come? Once we leave, there is no turning back. You will be drawn into matters far beyond your world. Your life will never be the same." Danny looked at her and smiled. "I stopped being certain about anything the moment I opened my apartment door and saw your crashed ship. But I would rather face the unknown with purpose than spend another day pretending my life has meaning, while I do the same boring tasks. Besides, someone needs to make sure you get there safely." Princess Lyra placed her hand on his shoulder. It was a gesture of friendship and respect. "Thank you, Danny Cooper. You have given me hope when I had almost none left. Whatever happens next, know that you have made a real difference. You have helped save an empire and countless lives." They boarded the spacecraft together. Captain Bennett took the pilot's seat with Dr. Price as his co-pilot. Danny and Princess Lyra strapped into the rear stations. The seats were comfortable and fit perfectly, like they had been designed specifically for each person. Above them, the roof of the hangar began to open. Metal panels slid apart, revealing the night sky. Stars twinkled in the darkness. Danny had seen the stars countless times before, but now they looked different. Now they represented possibility and adventure, not just distant lights. "Initiating launch sequence," Captain Bennett announced. His voice was calm and professional. "Everyone hold tight. This is going to be quite a ride." The spacecraft's engines ignited. Danny felt a deep rumble that shook his entire body. The craft began to rise slowly at first, hovering above the hangar floor. Then the engines increased power and they shot upward through the opening. The acceleration pressed Danny back into his seat. It was intense but not painful. The spacecraft had some kind of system that protected them from the worst effects of the G-forces. Through the viewport, Danny watched as the ground fell away rapidly. The facility became a small cluster of lights, then just a dot, then disappeared entirely. They broke through the atmosphere. Suddenly, everything became quiet. The roar of the engines faded to a gentle hum. They were in space. Danny unbuckled his seatbelt and floated slightly in the reduced gravity. He moved to the viewport and looked out. Earth hung in the darkness before him. It was a beautiful blue marble swirled with white clouds. He could see the shapes of continents and oceans. It was the most stunning thing he had ever seen. For a moment, all his worries and fears disappeared. He just felt awe and wonder. Princess Lyra came to stand beside him. She looked at Earth with appreciation. "Your world is beautiful. I hope that one day my people and yours can be true friends and allies." "I hope so too," Danny said. The moon grew larger as they approached. What had been a small bright circle became a massive sphere covered in craters and ancient lava plains. Dr. Price guided the spacecraft toward the far side of the moon, the side that never faces Earth. "There," Captain Bennett said, pointing at the viewport. Danny looked where he was pointing. At first he saw nothing unusual. Then he noticed a shimmer in the lunar surface like heat waves on a hot day. The shimmer grew stronger, and suddenly a section of the moon's surface retracted, revealing a landing bay carved into the rock. "Nexus Station," Dr. Price said. "Welcome to the first diplomatic outpost of the Galactic Council in the Sol system." They descended into the landing bay. The bay was large enough to hold a dozen spacecraft. Several alien ships were already docked there, each one unique in design and appearance. Lights illuminated the bay with a soft, pleasant glow. The spacecraft touched down gently. Danny felt a slight bump as they made contact with the landing pad. The engines powered down. They had arrived. Through the viewport, Danny could see figures waiting to greet them. There were aliens of various species. Some were tall and thin. Others were shorter and stockier. Their skin colors ranged from pale blue to deep purple to shimmering gold. All of them wore uniforms with the same symbol, a circle surrounded by stars. The symbol of the Galactic Council. Among the waiting group stood one figure who commanded immediate attention. He was tall and broad-shouldered, wearing military armor that looked both elegant and functional. His presence radiated authority and strength. The spacecraft's hatch opened. Princess Lyra stepped out first. She stood tall and proud, every inch a royal despite her ordeal. The military figure approached and dropped to one knee before her. His voice was deep and filled with emotion. "Princess Lyra, we have been searching for you desperately. The fleet has been standing by, waiting for your signal. With the evidence you carry, we can finally move against Duke Varen. We can restore justice to the Kellyan Empire. Princess Lyra held up the data crystal. The small crystal glowed in her hand. Then let us waste no more time, Commander. My father's legacy will be restored. My uncle will answer for his crimes. Justice will be served. The military commander stood and gestured toward the station's interior. We have prepared a secure communication facility. You can transmit the evidence directly to the fleet from there. They are positioned just beyond this star system, ready to move the moment they receive your signal. As the group began to move toward the station, Princess Lyra turned back to Danny. She smiled, and in that smile, Danny saw genuine affection and gratitude. You will always have a place of honor in the Kellyan Empire, Danny Cooper. When this is over and peace is restored, I hope you will visit my world. I think you would find it quite extraordinary. And I would be proud to show you my home. Danny grinned. I would like that very much. And who knows, maybe by then, Earth will be ready to join the galactic community officially. Dr. Price joined them. Her eyes were bright with excitement. That day is coming sooner than you think, Mr. Cooper. You have just played a part in history. First contact is no longer a distant dream. It is happening right now. And it started because you chose to help someone in need. They entered the communication facility. It was a large room filled with advanced technology. Holographic displays showed star charts and fleet positions. Princess Lyra walked to a central console. She inserted the data crystal into a slot designed for it. The console activated, lights blinking as it read the data. Princess Lyra began the transmission sequence. All the evidence, all the proof of Duke Varen's treachery, was being sent out into space to the waiting fleet. Danny stood by one of the viewports watching. As the transmission completed, he saw something amazing. Ships began appearing in the space beyond the moon. They came out of some kind of cloaking or faster-than-light travel. First a few, then dozens, then hundreds. The Council fleet was massive and impressive. Each ship was different, representing different worlds and cultures united for a common cause. Princess Lyra came to stand beside him. Together they watched as the fleet organized itself, preparing to return to her home system. The princess would go with them, Danny knew. She would lead her people in taking back their empire from the tyrant who had stolen it. Thank you, she whispered, for everything. You saved my life. You helped me complete my mission. You gave me hope when I thought all was lost. Danny smiled. Thank you for crashing into my alley. Best career change I ever made. They both laughed. It was good to laugh after everything they had been through. As Danny looked out at the assembled fleet and the stars, 3 days passed at Nexus Station. Danny spent that time learning about the wider universe. Dr. Price and the Council representatives were happy to teach him. They showed him star charts of explored space, told him about different alien cultures, and explained how the Galactic Council worked. Danny learned that the Council was made up of over 400 different species from across the galaxy. They worked together to maintain peace, share knowledge, and help younger civilizations develop. Earth had been under observation for nearly a century, but the Council had a strict rule about not making contact until a species was ready. Why now? Danny asked Dr. Price. Why are you making contact with humans now? Dr. Price smiled. Because you showed us humanity is ready. When Princess Lyra crashed on Earth, we watched to see what would happen. You could have ignored her. You could have been afraid. Instead, you helped without hesitation. You risked your life for someone you just met, someone completely different from you. That is the quality the Council looks for. Princess Lyra spent those 3 days preparing for her return home. The Council fleet had received the evidence and verified its authenticity. Military strategists were planning the campaign to remove Duke Varen from power. The princess would return with the fleet and lead her people in reclaiming their empire. On the third evening, Danny found Princess Lyra in an observation deck. She was looking out at the stars, her violet eyes distant and thoughtful. He walked over and stood beside her. Nervous about going back, Danny asked. Princess Lyra nodded slowly. Yes. I have been running and hiding for 3 years. Now I must return and face everything. I must be strong for my people. I must lead them through what will surely be a difficult war. I am afraid I will not be good enough. Danny thought about his words carefully. You survived when your parents were killed. You escaped with evidence that could bring down a tyrant. You evaded professional assassins for 3 years. You crashed on a strange planet and convinced a complete stranger to help you. You made it all the way here against impossible odds. I think you are more than good enough. Princess Lyra smiled. You have a way of making things sound simple. Sometimes things are simple, Danny replied. You just have to do what is right even when it is hard. That is all leadership really is. They stood in comfortable silence for a while, watching the stars. Finally, the princess spoke again. Will you come with us? To my world? You could witness the restoration of the empire. You could be there when justice is served. Danny was tempted. The idea of traveling to an alien world and seeing more of the galaxy was incredibly exciting, but he knew his place was not on a battlefield in another star system. He had played his part in this story. Now it was time for Princess Lyra to play hers. I think I should go home, Danny said. Earth is my home. And if what Dr. Price says is true, I have work to do there, helping prepare humanity for joining the council. But I will take you up on that invitation to visit your world, after you win your war and bring peace back to your people. Princess Lyra looked at him with affection. I will hold you to that promise. And when you visit, I will personally give you a tour. You will see the crystal cities and the glowing rivers. You will meet my people and see what you helped save. The next morning, Princess Lyra prepared to leave Nexus Station. She wore new armor that the council had provided, elegant and functional. She looked every inch the warrior princess she was meant to be. Her injury was completely healed, and her strength had returned. A transport ship would take her to the command vessel of the council fleet. From there, she would begin the journey home to liberate her empire. Danny, Dr. Price, and Captain Bennett came to see her off. The princess stood before them, regal and composed. But when she looked at Danny, her expression softened. She walked to him and placed both hands on his shoulders. I will never forget what you did for me, Danny Cooper. You are proof that heroism is not about being special or having powers. It is about choosing to help when help is needed. Your people should be proud to have someone like you. Danny felt emotion rising in his chest. Take care of yourself, Your Highness, and give your uncle what he deserves. Princess Lyra smiled. I intend to. She pulled something from her armor and handed it to Danny. It was a small medallion with the royal symbol of the Kellian Empire. This is for you. It marks you as a friend of the Kellian people. Wherever you go in the galaxy, this will be honored. You will always be welcome on my world. Danny took the medallion carefully. It was warm to the touch and seemed to glow faintly. Thank you. I will treasure it. Princess Lyra boarded the transport ship. She turned at the door and waved one final time. Then she was gone and the ship departed. Danny watched through the viewport as the transport flew across the lunar surface and into space, joining the massive fleet that hung in orbit. Dr. Price stood beside him. She is remarkable. I think she will make a great empress when this is all over. Danny nodded in agreement. He watched as the council fleet began to move, the hundreds of ships turning in perfect formation. They were using some kind of faster-than-light travel. One by one, the ships seemed to fold space around themselves and disappear. Within minutes, the entire fleet was gone. Later that day, Danny, Dr. Price, and Captain Bennett returned to Earth in the experimental shuttle. The journey back was quieter than the journey to the moon. Danny spent most of it looking out the viewport at the Earth below, thinking about everything that had happened. They landed back at the Nevada facility. When Danny stepped out of the shuttle and felt solid ground beneath his feet, he experienced a strange mix of emotions. He was home, but home felt different now. He felt different. Dr. Price walked with him to a waiting vehicle. So what will you do now? Go back to your job at the shipping company? Danny laughed. I do not think I can go back to that. How could I sit in a cubicle after everything I have seen and done? No, I need something different, Dr. Price smiled. I was hoping you would say that. How would you like to work with our program? We need people who understand both human society and alien contact, people who have proven they can handle the extraordinary. We need someone to help prepare humanity for what is coming. The full revelation of alien life will happen within the next few years. When it does, we will need people like you to help others understand and adapt. Danny considered the offer. It was everything he had been looking for. Purpose, meaning, excitement, a chance to be part of something bigger than himself. Yes, he said simply. I would like that very much. 2 weeks later, Danny returned to Portland to collect his belongings and officially resign from his job. His supervisor was surprised but accepted his resignation without much question. Danny did not explain where he was going or what he would be doing. He simply said he had found a new opportunity. He visited Greg to return the van and thank him for his help. Greg wanted to know all about the adventure, but Danny could not tell him much. Not yet. Soon the truth about aliens would become public knowledge, but for now it remained a secret. Danny promised Greg that when the time came he would explain everything. Danny packed his belongings into a few boxes. He was surprised by how little he actually owned that mattered. Most of his possessions were just things he had accumulated over the years without really caring about them. He kept his clothes, some books, his laptop, and a few personal items. Everything else he donated. On his last night in the apartment, Danny stood at his window looking out at the alley where Princess Lyra had crashed. It had only been a few weeks, but it felt like a lifetime ago. That scared, uncertain man who had lived in this apartment was gone. In his place was someone new, someone with purpose and confidence. Danny touched the medallion that hung around his neck. He wore it hidden under his shirt, a secret reminder of his adventure. He thought about Princess Lyra and wondered how the war was going. He hoped she was safe. He hoped she was winning. The next morning, Danny left Portland and drove to the Nevada facility to begin his new life. He had a small apartment there and an office where he would work on preparing educational materials about alien contact. He would meet with other team members and plan for the day when humanity would officially join the galactic community. The work was challenging and exciting. Danny threw himself into it with energy he had not felt in years. He was making a difference. He was helping prepare his entire species for the biggest change in human history. 6 months later, Danny received a message through the Nexus Station communication system. It was from Princess Lyra. The war was over. Duke Varen had been defeated and captured. The Kellyan Empire was free. Princess Lyra had been crowned Empress and was beginning the work of healing her people and rebuilding what her uncle had destroyed. The message ended with an invitation. Empress Lyra wanted Danny to visit Kellia as her honored guest. A ship would be sent to pick him up whenever he was ready. Danny smiled as he read the message. He looked out his window at the Nevada desert. Above, the stars were beginning to appear in the evening sky. Out there, among those stars, was a world he had helped save. Friends who were waiting to see him again. Adventures yet to come. He had started as a man with a boring desk job who felt like his life had no meaning. Now he was someone who had helped change the fate of an empire. Someone who had made first contact with alien royalty